The story begins with a wide shot, a scene setter. It gives the viewer a sense of place and time, but the scene is unremarkable. It's not set in a picturesque mountain range and you don't notice the trees or grass. You focus on the sign and the setting, because that's what good opens do. They give you a sense of place. The pan movement of the camera is left to right, a nice idea because you're reading the sign left to right. It would have been next to impossible to read if the sign had been on the other side and the shot had moved in the opposite direction. Watch the scene again. Scene 2 may seem like a throwaway, but it's not. It's a quick tip of the hat to diversity. It's also an action and reaction. Do you notice how even on the second scene you start hearing the puppy barks in the background? This sound is a foreshadowing for the last sound that you'll hear in the spot. Scene 3 is a tension builder. It's the puppy breaking bad. Stories need tension. In fact, the more tension you build, the more the resolution will mean at the end. And notice the devious nature of the bad behavior. He doesn't just run away. He runs and crawls under the fence. That's foreshadowing, because the caretaker will catch him doing that later. And notice how in this commercial, the puppy faces 3 challenges. He runs away twice and then gets carried away. 3 is an old storytelling tool. There are 3 musketeers, 3 stooges, and so on. The magic of 3 plays out here too. Scene 4 is really a sequence of 5 shots. He breaks away, crawls under the fence, then there's a match cut from the other side of the fence, he runs across the field, then peers into the barn. Notice how he clears one frame before entering the next. The directions of movement are logical, and he even struggles to get underneath the wire of the fence. The barn door is barely cracked, which adds to the moment of discovery. Let's take a second to talk about story focus. Notice how humans have only been a secondary part of the story up until now. We've not gotten to know the human, only the puppy. Why? Because the story is about the puppy loving the horse. The puppy is the main character, not the horse, and not the humans. So the piece will start with puppies, end with puppies, and every key emotion in the piece will be about the puppy. The next shot is technically a jump cut because there's no transition from scene to scene, but the focal length of the shots from a medium wide to an extreme wide is so different that it's not jarring. Now the puppy meets the horse. The horse is barely hanging out of the stall when the puppy gets there, and the shot moves from a wide shot to a matched close-up. Good move. Then the horse is on a close-up. This is an action-reaction sequence. Notice the little puppy sound that's like the puppy saying, hello. We're 15 seconds into the story when we meet one of the human characters. The first image of him is a hazy, distant shot. He's doing something, and it really doesn't matter what. We don't want the story to get distracted by that. The human reacts to a ruckus and the puppy is dancing in front of the horse. Once again, it's a foreshadowing to the closing shot. And notice that we get a few frames glimpse of the human who moves through the screen and grabs the pup. The horse's nose is still in the image. That nose we're already connected to. The next shot is brilliant. The camera moves back from the horse. It's a movement, not a zoom. The viewer is looking through the puppy's eyes as if we're being carried away, and the horse reacts by raising his head. Then, one of the biggest moments in the video, maximum tension. The puppy looks back at his new friend and he's heartbroken. There's a lot of cinema going on here. There's a deep shadow on the puppy's face and the barn is mostly dark, so you're not distracted by anything. You just focus on those eyes.
Only know you love her when you let her go.
The second human shows up. She's been foreshadowed early in the spot, and the handoff is a 4-shot sequence that picks up the pace of the story without allowing us to get focused on the humans. Then we get a transition shot. The weather is a visual cue. The previous shot was sunny and nice, but now it's rainy, so the scene is a different day. Notice how the lighting directors used 2 light sources, a yellow light on the workbench to add separation and a white light to make the man's white t-shirt show up. It's a small, narrow beam of light. They don't want to wash the whole scene down. Shadows add texture. Notice that the puppy enters on a close-up shot. It's a clean transition to a new development in the story. This scene is one of the very few pan shots in the story. It's a deliberate move. The pan shows exactly how much time has passed between the puppy's entrance and the man's reaction. A cut wouldn't have shown that.
Only know you've been high when you're feeling low.
The next scene's a quick cut. Door opens, man gives woman sad, wet puppy. Then, puppy tries to escape, gets caught, and is adopted to a guy that we don't know. It's good that he's wearing sunglasses. We have no connection to him. The puppy's stuffed into the back seat, and the slam of the door is what wakes up the horse. Action, reaction. Watch again. Notice the range of shots, wide, close-up, and medium shot.
Only hate the road when you're missing home. Only know you love her when you let her go.
The spot suddenly comes to life with sound. A pitiful call from the puppy to a thunderous hoof sound of the Clydesdale, followed by a peak in the action and reaction. This is how we build emotion in video stories. The entire sequence is one action followed by an equal reaction.
And you let her go.
It's interesting that they removed the state from the car license plate and any names or logos on the car. That's all to prevent distractions. And notice how white the fences are. Notice that the fences at the end of the lane appear to have been recently placed there so the horses would have a background when they stopped the car. When the farmhand notices what's going on, he's wearing a Budweiser hat, but it's subtle. The next scene is peak action. The whinnying Clydesdale herd escorts the victorious puppy, and the puppy close-up is the payoff. The whinny is the horses calling to the barn, "Your friend is coming home." We have no idea where the man in the sunglasses went, but who cares? The story's not about him. That's why they never developed him as a character in the first place, so he could disappear easily. So now the barn guy chokes up, and so do we. We all admire the victory over adversity, and we're back to the puppy barking and dancing. The grass is green, the horse talks back, and the camera pulls back to an extreme wide shot. This is a classic storytelling frame. It starts with friction, the runaway strong-willed puppy. It builds to context, why he runs away to be with his friend, and it ends with an explosion of action. The herd confronts the car. The music peaks with emotion and the story ends quickly after the explosion of action. It's a shape that you know well. Once upon a time, suddenly, fortunately, as it turns out. The Budweiser commercial may be magical, but it's not built on magic. It's just solid storytelling that every video storyteller can learn from and use on your next shift. From the Poynter Institute, I'm Al Tompkins.